Wouldn't that put the plant out of action for some time?
I think I take care of it very well. But just that we wanted to confirm our jam. Well, thanks a lot, old man.
Don't mention it.
Don't mind.
It's not much use minding, is it?
Well, jolly good, Sir Charles. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Jed. Good hunting.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, I'll send you some pictures.
Germans didn't get us from that factory for a while.
No, it looks as though all the main buildings have been completely wiped out.
Yes, the RAF certainly got their target that night. And whilst we're on the subject of aircraft, let's run through some of our other contributions to the war in the air. Vibration. That ought to have a chapter to itself, Mr. Hearn. Vibration was one of our major problems. There are so many delicate instruments in a modern plane. The answer to vibration was rubber. Rubber bonded to metal mountings. Come and have a look at this. It tells the story in a nutshell. We had it on show at our war exhibition.
What happens if I press the button?
Try it. You see, this side is mounted on rubber, and that side isn't. Rubber absorbs not only vibration, but rapid changes in velocity and direction, and shocks on landing. We've literally made millions of these anti-vibration mountings for all types of aircraft. Practically all the wheels and brakes for the RAF were made at our factories in and around Coventry, from the smallest tail wheels to the giants for the Halifaxes, the Lancasters, the Stirlings, and the Yorks. Dunlop pneumatic brakes are used on practically every type of British aircraft, on the fastest jet-propelled fighters, as well as on the heaviest bombers and transport planes. An enormous amount of research has gone into the perfection of these braking systems, and repeated landings are reproduced in our testing house at Coventry. Like the gun-firing mechanism, the brake is operated by compressed air. A big bomber tire weighs 17 times as much as an ordinary car tire. Needs 45 times the labor to make. We turned out thousands of tires for trainers, gliders, fighters, bombers, and the latest jet-propelled planes, all tailor-made for every type of aircraft, ever changing with the urgency of war. 75 types, from albacores to the giant Yorks, have tires and wheels designed and produced by Dunlop. Rubber blocks, too, for the legs of retractable undercarriages, replacing the more orthodox hydraulic types. Under compression, these blocks can take a landing load of over 10 tons. We mustn't forget the Ector tire, which allows static electricity to be earthed on landing. Dunlop tires, in fact, carried everything that moved on the ground. The bomb loads for the big saturation raids on Germany, the fire tenders and station vehicles, the crashed aircraft. And talking about crashed aircraft, we made the lifting bags, which could raise a crippled bomber in a matter of minutes, where the old jacking system took hours. No aircraft can operate without rubber hose, wire-braided hose that can withstand extremes of heat and cold, carry oil, petrol, air and de-icing fluid, stand up to constant high pressure over long periods. That was quite a tough proposition, but we succeeded. Modern aircraft, in fact, are full of rubber components. Take the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, for instance. It's got a finely molded rubber connection on the cooling system. Rubber, too, for the access doors on bomb racks. Rubber for the phosphorus fire bombs, and the millions of incendiary leaves we made for special missions over Germany. In the 1914 war, most of the aircraft losses were due to punctured petrol tanks. In between wars, we produced a new type of self-sealing tank, which prevented the fuel escaping and catching fire. It meant millions of square yards of rubber material, thousands of gallons of solution. Then there was that very interesting device we made at Waltham Abbey for dropping propaganda leaflets. A slow-burning fuse released bundles of these leaflets at predetermined intervals. And, of course, we made the balloons as well. For a long time, the Germans just couldn't figure out how those leaflets were delivered with no planes around. The weather could be our enemy as well as our friend. Our Met balloons told the RAF the direction and velocity of the wind. Good heavens, nearly 1 o'clock. Morning's gone quickly. Well, I've been giving you our side of the story. What about telling me yours over lunch?
I'd love to.
What was your job in the RAF?
Oh, I was in the control room with the spur fleet.
Robinson used to go down to Spurfleet quite a lot. A heavy bomber station, wasn't it?
Yes. We were kept pretty busy during the big raids. The excitement kept us going. We all felt we were getting our own back, at last. I used to see the crews starting off night after night for Germany. I got to know some of them. They were brand boys. We became good pals. A lot of them never came back. One evening I had a date with Bill. He'd got some leave. Somehow I had a presentiment that it was going to happen. I waited and waited, but he didn't come. So unlike him, not to let me know. I was just about to go when Saunders and Andrews came over to my table.
Well, it isn't Lorna. All alone, too. You know this big Andrews.
Yes, hello.
Hello? Well, what are you using for fuel?
Oh, no, thanks, Tom. I'm just going.
Disappointed in love, eh? Well, never mind, little lady. You're looking at 2 perfectly good substitutes right now. Ooh. Okay, brother, I know when I'm not wanted. Poor rat. Well, good night, Lorna.
Good night, Tom.
Come on,
Cigarette?
No, thanks.
What's the trouble, Lorna?
Nothing. I'm worried about Bill. He should have met me here tonight. I'm afraid.
Must have had his leave cancelled.
No, he did let me know. Come on, I must get back to the camp.
He'll turn up all right.
Thanks, Jack. It seemed as if all the tragedy in the world piled up on me that night. He'd been shot down in France, in flames. It was terrible. But one day, months afterwards... Darling, do go on. I still don't know what happened after you were hit.
Well, even after I'd pulled out of the dive, that blasted ME was still on my tail. So I just couldn't bail out. Well, then the old spit went for a Burton. Pranged a tree and pancaked into a field. Soft landing, God knows how. Got out just thing went up in flames.
You're back now, and that's everything that matters.
And am I glad to see you again?
know the rest. Sicily, Casino, the long, hard road to Rome. We had conquered Africa, bridged the Mediterranean, knocked Italy out of the war.
Month after month, and what's happening in this country? Nothing but talk, talk, talk! We don't want words, we want action. We demand a second front now! I ask you, comrades, what are we waiting for?
You lead the way, chum. Monty won't mind.
It wasn't quite so simple as all that. The modern army needs one pneumatic tire for every soldier, and 250,000 vehicles were going to be involved when D-Day came. Not just a mechanized war, it had become a scientific war on a scale almost undreamt of. Every soldier had to be an expert in his job, scientifically equipped, scientifically clothed. Dunlop pillow helmets for paratroop training. Dunlop pillow pads to absorb landing shocks. Uniforms, battle dress. 70 different types for our fighting men. Specialized clothing for the commandos, the paratroops, the tank crews. The efficiency of our tanks was going to mean a lot in the battle for Holland and the Rhine. Tanks can't move without wheels. A new process of high-frequency hardening for the rims and special rubber compound for the tires of bogie wheels contributed in no small measure to the reliability of our armor under the strain of battle. But before the Allied invasion army could reach the beaches, they would have to battle their way through a labyrinth of concealed obstacles erected below water along the shores of Normandy. These obstacles were first spotted by our reconnaissance planes flying at 0 feet at low tide.
Going to be a bit of a job getting through all that rubbish.
Yes, I know, but that's our headache, and our friend from Dunlop.
Jeez.
Well, here are those improved designs we've been working. Oh, splendid. It has been a bit of a problem, but I think we've covered most of the snags.
Oh,
Yes, of course, it's great improvement. Couldn't be better, George, could it?
Of course, the facepiece isn't shown on this drawing.
Right.
I think it gives you what you want. Actually, of course, it's a self-contained rubber diving suit that you can swim about in underwater with complete freedom.
Ha! Frogman, eh? What an idea. But absolutely wizard.
Well, it's the only way to get through that rubbish. We've got plenty of volunteers, and all we need now are these suits.
Hundreds of picked men, hundreds of swimsuits to clear the way for the greatest amphibious operation of all time. 3.5 years of strenuous experiment crowned with success. Once again, we delivered the goods on time. The underwater swimsuits were also used in midget submarines and submergible canoes for sinking enemy ships with delayed action limpet mines. Here was something entirely new in modern warfare. Round about that time, we were turning out tanks by the 100. Yes, turning them out in rubber. Decoy tanks, as harmless as a hot water bottle, as realistic as the actual thing. They gave the Germans and the Japanese plenty of headaches. You know, John Boyd Dunlop started something when he invented the pneumatic tire. Think of all the things we've developed from that simple principle. Those decoy tanks, the dinghies, the aircraft lifting bags, and the inflated rollers we made for beaching damaged landing craft up to 350 tons. Just rubber and air in different form. I should say that Mulberry was one of the outstanding achievements of the whole war. A great gamble, but it came off. Like everything else, it had its growing pains. Mulberry was kept afloat by a system of concrete pontoons. On test, in rough weather, gaping holes were torn in some of the pontoons, with the result that when the tide came in again, the business end of the harbour remained submerged. This became our problem, and we solved it, as we had solved so many others, with rubber. Rubber bags, beetles we called them, forced into the damaged section of the pontoons and inflated. Mulberry rose to the surface and stayed there. And so, on across the narrow channel, which had served us so well when we stood alone, the array of mechanized might on which we had labored so long surged forward to the shores of Normandy. Back home, we had a new and urgent priority on our list, the flying bomb. Once again, London had to face ordeal. Our barrage balloons played an important part in the strategical defense of the city. V1s or V2s, flying bombs or rockets, London proved once again that she could take it as she had taken the Blitz.
Did you hear that one this morning, Harry? I thought the blinking roof was coming off. I think it was a rocket.
I slept like a top. As I always says to the missus, if you hear the bang, it's all right. Because if you don't hear it, your name's on it. And if you don't hear it, you're still all right. Because it doesn't matter to tinker's cuss because you've had it. See what I mean? Same again, Charlie, one for yourself.
I thought you'd have something stronger after that one.
Ah, well, it's good enough for me.
In Normandy, we had gained our second wind. And slowly, bitterly at first, we rolled them back. On to Paris, to Belgium, to the glorious failure of Arnhem. Victory in Europe was in the air. We'd crossed the Rhine, the impregnable Rhine. The way to Berlin lay open. Journey's end in Berlin. But there was still Japan. We had to supply a great army in Burma, the biggest single army in the whole war. The army which caused nearly half of all the Japanese casualties in the Pacific. That forgotten army which performed more feats of endurance and bravery than we ever knew. Were rolling down the tortuous road to Singapore. journey's end in Tokyo. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for victory proudly won. Won by blood and sweat, toil and tears, and the immortal courage of the few who gave time to the world to win their freedom.